Hello everybody, today we're going to be talking about chapters 13 and 14 of Studio Thinking 2. So chapter 13 focuses on the demonstration lecture and the various studio habits of mind that accompany it. Demonstration lectures are used to introduce ideas, assignments, and studio habits of mind that will be used during the students at work and critique structures. These studio habits of mind can occur naturally while the teacher models working, thinking, and seeing as an artist to the students. During demonstration lectures, the teacher fosters students' attention to nuances that they might not notice otherwise by slowing down the process of making, seeing, and reflecting. The different studio habits of mind that accompany demonstration lectures are as follows: develop craft, engage and persist, envision, express, observe, reflect, stretch and explore, and understand art worlds. Our assignments often requires or guides students to experiment with specific materials, tools, and procedures. Therefore, demonstration lectures introduce students to particular features likely to come up as opportunities and challenges while the students work on developing craft. For example, the teacher may show the practical realities of working with a specific medium. The teacher may also discuss different tools and materials, such as where they are kept, what is available, and how to use and care for them. Through the demonstration lecture, students have clear images of what to do and how to do it. Teachers engage students through demonstration lectures by interesting them in the potential of techniques, materials, and tools they can learn to use with expertise. For example, a teacher may show how working off the hump can allow the artist to create many small pieces without all the work of starting a new piece of clay each time. The demonstration lecture can also show students how to persist by showing a variety of techniques, materials, and tools students may employ to address artistic challenges in their work. For example, a teacher may show different ways and techniques to create a spout in clay. While the students won't use all the possibilities, showing a broad range encourages persistence in both finding and developing techniques that serve their creative intentions. Teachers can use demonstration lectures to open their students' minds about what can be done by modeling a range of possibilities relevant to their assignment. For example, a teacher may show a wide range of still life paintings incorporating different painting styles, objects, and perspectives. Showing a wide range of examples that satisfy the assignment in different ways steers students away from the belief that there is only one way to solve the problem. Additionally, teachers can help students envision the process of developing work by demonstrating how to use tools and materials step by step. Demonstration lectures can help students gain a wider view of art from the present and past, which can encourage them to consider the reasons for variations in artistic choices, what said variations say, and what the students themselves might say in their own work. Showing samples of different works, tools, techniques, materials, and ideas can help guide students thinking about how to express meanings, feelings, and ideas in their work. This can be done by bringing in artworks, showing various artists' artworks on the web, or creating packets of images. During the demonstration lecture, the teacher can point out characteristics and processes of the works that interest the students due to similarity to something they already made or are about to make. Visual art students are usually accustomed to learning by looking, so teachers can utilize this during demonstration lectures to help the students see more. This can be done by showing the multi-step processes involved with using and caring for tools and working with particular techniques. This is an effective way to present students with a lot of information in a visual format that they can use to refine their understanding. For example, a teacher can show how to utilize a vanishing point to draw geometric forms from any angle, which the students can revisit immediately in their own work. Two additional studio habits of mind can show up when reflecting. The first is question and explain, where students can practice raising questions and suggesting possible explanations for artistic choices in their art-making efforts. For example, students may ask questions about how to create different effects or features they desire for their work. The second is evaluate, which occurs as teachers point out common challenges and solutions that arise from techniques. For example, a teacher may show different examples of artwork or processes that can set a standard for students to evaluate their own performance. Additionally, evaluating other artworks can help students appreciate what works, what they like, and determine what is possible. Demonstration lectures can reinforce the habit of stretching beyond students' current level of ability and responding to errors as opportunities instead. For example, teachers may raise what-if questions about different techniques to help students explore, push beyond the known, and observe accidents as opportunities or options for creativity. Understanding art worlds also encompasses additional studio habits of mind. The first is domain, in which teachers can inform students about the context of different cultures they are studying. For example, a teacher can show contemporary and ancient artworks from different cultures. Here, work from other artists is used to explain thinking about what is possible, what has been done, and what students can try. The second is communities, which focuses on grounding student work in the context of other artists' work. This can be done by modeling processes of professional artists, showing characteristics of certain art materials, and showing how artists have worked in their own historical context. Teachers can remind students implicitly and explicitly that the artists work within various communities, which can include student-teacher pairs, peers, and more. Chapter 14 focuses on the students at work sessions and how the studio habits of mind from Chapter 13 are present within them. Teachers may emphasize any or all studio habits of mind during students at work sessions. However, developing craft is a central goal as these sessions always involve students working with art materials. Depending on their goals, teachers emphasize different clusters of studio habits in their interactions with students during work sessions. For example, Beth Baliro's Secret Ritual Vessels project encompasses a cluster of different studio habits of mind. Reflect is present because Beth wants the students to articulate thought behind their work, including their process, decisions made, and relationship of the work to values of subcultures. Engage and persist occurs when the prompt of their assigned secret vessel gets the students interested and focused. Express occurs as the students adapt their ideas into their assigned form. The students envision when Beth encourages them to think of different ways to realize the form. Stretch and explore occurs when students come up with ways to implicitly communicate ideas through their art. Students at work structure allows teachers to differentiate instruction without disrupting general workflow. For example, Jim Woodside has both beginning and advanced students in his drawing class. He balances the need to developing less experienced students' observational skills with challenging more experienced students through various demonstration lectures throughout the Students at Work session. So for my activity, we will be working with a few different watercolor techniques. The goals of this activity will be to demonstrate 6 different watercolor techniques through a demonstration lecture, show examples of watercolor techniques in different paintings, and work with the different watercolor techniques in a Students at Work session. If you're not super accustomed to working with watercolor, you can experiment with using the different techniques. Try to find ones you like. Observe what happens when you do these techniques with different brushes. If you work with watercolor a lot, try creating a small composition utilizing these painting techniques. Hello everybody and welcome to my bedroom floor. Today I'm going to be demonstrating 6 different watercolor techniques for you guys. I'm going to apologize in advance for the shadow of my phone and the fact that I'm going to be speaking pretty quickly so that way we can get through this demonstration and you guys will have time to actually do your activity. Really quickly, for my material setup, I have my piece of paper right here. It is Strathmore mixed media paper. I have my handy dandy watercolor palette, my cup with some nice clean water and 3 different brushes, and my paper towel, which is not very clean because this is not my first take filming this. So let's just jump right in. The first watercolor technique that we're going to be working with is wet on wet. And for wet on wet, you're going to take your brush, you're going to add some water to it, no paint at all, and you're just going to paint a section of your paper with the water. You can't really see it, neither can I that much, but if depending on the lighting situation that you're in, you might be able to see it. Excuse my dog. So then I'm going to take some paint. I'm feeling orange today, so I'm just going to paint with orange. And I'm going to paint on top of the water that I just applied. And you get some really organic, free flow shapes when using wet on wet. I'm going to do another one really quick. I'm just going to drop some paint into there, and you're going to watch it disperse a little bit. As it's probably going to disperse some more. All right. So that is wet on wet. Now we're going to do wet on dry, which if you're not very familiar with watercolor, this is probably the technique that you do all the time. And for that, I'm just going to swirl my brush in some water, and then I'm just going to swirl it into my paint and paint directly onto my paper. I'm just going to do a nice little line. That is the gist of wet on dry. I'm just to show you that these techniques are different. I'm going to do the same exact line onto this area that I added the wet on wet to. It wasn't as wet. It probably had a chance to dry, so I'm just gonna do that. And I'm gonna create the same line. Oh my goodness, it's not the same thing at all. So if you want nice and clear, defined lines and shapes, absolutely paint with wet on dry. So the next one we're gonna be doing is dry brushing. For that one, this is where your paper towel is gonna come in. You're gonna take your brush and you're gonna dry it really good on some paper towel because you want no moisture on there. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna pick up some paint. This paint might be a little too soapy. Do that again. Let's do this one, it's a little drier. And you don't want super paint for this because otherwise the whole point of drying out your brush doesn't really work. And I'm just gonna do a line. And as you can see, when you are using dry brushing, it creates this sort of texture on the paper. Yeah, this nice little scratchy texture is very characteristic of dry brushing, so you can get some cool textures by using this technique. The next watercolor technique that we're going to be doing is thin paint. I'm going to flip my paper over just so we have some more real estate. So for thin paint, I'm going to swirl my brush around in some water. I'm going to use green now, and I'm going to add quite a bit of water to this paint. And then when I'm ready to paint, I'm not actually ready to paint because I'm going to then dip my brush in some water again, and then I'm going to paint on my paper. Watercolor is inherently kind of transparent. Painting thinner is going to make it even more transparent. So as you can see, the white of the paper is kind of showing through here. Just for comparison, I'm going to take this same paint without the extra dip of water, and I'm going to paint right next to it. As you can see, that color is way brighter and way more opaque so that you can't really see as much of the paper showing through. The next watercolor technique is thick paint. So I'm still going to work with this green just so you can see the difference. I'm going to really massage that water into the brush. I didn't pick up any extra water in case you didn't see. I can even like dry it off a little bit. And I'm going to paint right here. As you can see, this paint is even thicker than this one, which is thicker than this one. So it goes thick, medium, thin. All right. So with thick paint, you get much richer, more saturated, and darker colors that are more opaque. And then with thin, you get more muted, lighter, less saturated, and more transparent colors. The last watercolor technique that we're going to be working with is layering. And for layering, you're basically going to be working on paint that you already laid down. You can let the paint dry beforehand. That's actually a little bit more effective than what I'm about to show you. But so I'm gonna let that sit for a second. And then you can use layering to add different colors, or you can add different values. So I'm gonna take some thin paint, the same green I was using before, and I'm going to paint a little bit over the edges of this blob. I can create some values by doing that. Or I'm going to use this one and I'm going to do the same thing over here. You can also paint like this. All sorts of different things. But yeah, layering is just painting on top of other paint that's already there. I'll even just do a little bit of some watered down blue on top of this line so you can see that the color underneath is absolutely showing. Oops. That happened. Happy accidents. Alright, so that is your basic watercolor technique demonstration. And yeah, let's look at some artwork.